I started Vodafone when I left school. So it was like the first thing I got into, and it really made me realize like, okay, I can talk to people. And I kind of had a realization during COVID when like every 16, 17-year-old was drop shipping, making money online. I'm like, how are people doing this? Right? There's a way to do it, right? And then I'm like, okay, well,
Leaving college, telling your parents, hey, I'm going to go into this something that's kind of unknown, after investing into myself, joining some online teams. What was that like?
what's the worst that can happen?
Who is Tom and what do you do? Okay, guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel today. I have the pleasure of having Tom Copley on to the channel. Tom and I met ages back, like I'm talking like 18, probably further than 18 months ago. I don't think we met in person to begin with. I think everything was strictly online, even though we were so close. I was in Cavan, he was in Westmeath in Mullingar, and yeah, it's great to have him on today. Like Tom, appreciate you taking the time out of your day. He's been with us as well with AST since the very start, from when we were a small Telegram group to building that up to 1,200 people to turning into a paid group as well. And it's just been great to see his progress as well over the past couple of years. Like I've literally seen him turn into a boy into a man. Like when we were at the dinner at the charity event, it was just great. It was great to sit down and chop it up with the lads. So, Tom, appreciate you hopping on. I think for the viewers, like if they'd met Tom on the side of the road, who is Tom and what do you do?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Warren. I was waiting for that question, and the honest answer isn't just like any other normal guy who just had took an interest in making some money a long time ago. And yeah, 21, originally from Westmeath. I live in Dublin right now, and yeah, I've been online, so like yeah, a little over 18 months online sales, and then I was in like kind of retail sales for like 18 months before that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Because like uh, with that, when we had met first, I believe that you were in Vodafone, right? Like,
Yeah,
can you talk to me about the early days of getting into sales and saying, hey, I want to kind of like make a change? Because like, although you say that you're like a regular guy, I mean, I believe I'm a regular guy as well. The one thing you said was, hey, I got an interest in doing something online. However, most
yeah,
people have interest in doing something online, but they don't take action, right? So like, if we talk
sure.
about the start and the process, I think that'll really resonate with some of the watchers as well.
Yeah, sure. Like I started Vodafone when I left school. So it was like the first thing I got into, and it really made me realize like, okay, I can talk to people and I can have confidence talking to people, and you know, I can help my team and I can manage KPIs and I know how to sell a little. And I actually also realized that like all of it is just down to sales at the end of the day. Like it actually is. I kind of had a realization during COVID when like every 16, 17-year-old was drop shipping, making money online. I'm like, how are people doing this? All right, there's a way to do it, right? And then I'm like, okay, well, what I'm doing is basically all sales, a little bit customer service, which I didn't like, and that there was a ceiling, right? So like my commissions were capped, or my paycheck was capped, or my hours were capped. So it's like I can only do so much. You're still going to get the same result. So
Mhm.
there was there's a couple of friends from Cavan who are doing door-to-door sales, and a good friend of mine from Westmead as well, who were saying, okay, well, there's online and then there's online sales. And I took
Yep.
an interest in marketing too. And so I actually done a brief marketing course. Um, but it was a college course that wasn't the best. So
Okay.
I then I then started to try a little bit of like Gareth Campbell's Closing Bible, and I joined that, and then I realized, okay, like, yeah, I can really, really do this. So quit my
Mhm.
job. Like we just quit. We quit the job, back against the wall. Kind of took a deep dive into high ticket sales, and
Yeah.
yeah, started with an offer, cold calling, kind of triaging, trying to get good, messing up, getting good again, coming back, closing. So it's a real step by step process.
Really was. And throughout that process, the way I got entangled with Tom was, I think I hired you to begin with. Was that your first role with the
Yeah,
online business
yeah, it was
as well?
literally my first role. I joined online like 2 weeks into it. No real idea what I was going to be doing, but I was like, hey, this seems fun. This is my new world, so gotta give it a try.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So what an interesting rodeo, because I remember I had gotten kind of into online sales like 2, 3 months before that. And then I started managing a
Mhm.
sales team, and you and Aaron actually had joined the sales team and kind of taken a leap, right? I think everybody has that moment where like, hey, I'm going to put my back against the wall and I'm going to take a step back to take two steps forward. I think most people do that all the time. Like I feel like when you progress through life, you have realizations where I need to again take another step back to take two steps forward each. And there's like a couple different stages of that, and the more stages you can do that, typically the
Yeah.
further you can go. So like, what was that like for you? Like taking that one step back, leaving college, telling your parents, "Hey, I'm going to go into this something that's kind of unknown. I have to invest into myself." Joining some online teams. What was that like? Because like I feel like that's the reason most people don't get into it.
Yeah. It's also it was the biggest reason that I felt like I got into it because I felt like I've no risk. I've no risk. I live with my parents. Like, what's the worst that can happen? And so, like, that was my initial thing of like, well, hey, let's just give it a shot. Like, all right, worst case scenario, I can come back here. But I did know as soon as I got my first taste of online money that I was never going back. And so then it's like, okay, well, looking forward, what are my goals? And I'll set targets for myself, and sometimes you'll fall short, and you just got to reassess and move forward again. But it honestly, a lot of it is like how resilient are you? How long can you stay in this game? How disciplined can you be to keep trying to get better? And obviously, you're gonna have tough days and tough months and things like that. But I see some of it as like seasons. There's seasons of making money. There's seasons of growing. There's seasons of developing, networking, all that sort of stuff. And so
Mhm.
it's yeah, I think you literally embrace the trials and tribulations. You have to lean into the journey and enjoy it. Like you really do.
Yeah, you also make an interesting point with the different reasons for different seasons. That was one of the main things
Yeah.
that Sir Harris actually taught us to begin with. Like he's the Harvard and sales MBA coach for
Mhm.
Harvard University in their MBA program. And it stuck with me because like sometimes you feel like, hey, I'm going to go into a season and I'm just going to absolutely grind for the next like 4 or 5 months and I don't care what happens. And when that's
Yeah.
finished, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a few trips here and there. I remember you saying you're going to go to Alicante, you're going to go to a few other different places, you're going to be able to travel. Like getting into online sales, like what do you feel that has done for you the most? Like what has that allowed you to do?
I think initially one of the biggest goals of getting into this was for more freedom. And so traveling has been like the biggest thing for that, being able to like move out of towers, set myself up, support myself abroad and be able to travel. It's like I wouldn't have been able to do any of those things if I didn't decide 18 months ago to take a risk and to try something new. And traveling is amazing. Like it unlocks new data sets, I think, in your mind. Like you rediscover yourself a little bit, but also like not having somebody telling you what to do, or you have to do this, or you have to go here, or work this shift, or work this hour. Like nobody likes that. And as much as we all are told that, like I think we do. I strive for freedom, like every day in online sales. It's like my biggest thing I'm trying to get, and so that's my end goal. And that's my one of the bigger drivers.
And when you say trying to get freedom, that kind of it kind of says that you don't feel like you have freedom now. Like when you say you want to get the freedom, like what does that look like?
The next goals I've set for myself. So like before I
Okay.
had the goal, before I hit the goals that I've hit now, that was like my kind of next stage of freedom, and then my next stage of freedom, and then my next stage of freedom. And so it's sort of just a leveling up game. Like I feel I do have freedom right now. Like I prayed for the things that I have now 18 months ago, right? And so I know exactly what I want out of the next 6, 7 months of the year. So they're my targets, and also approaching it as like with a long-term view, and then knowing that just every day you're trying to move the dial forward a little bit. I think that's honestly what I feel makes the difference.
Gotcha. So like that kind of consistency, because a lot of times people don't push as hard as they know they can to get where they want to be. Like if they actually try their best. And I think is it cool if I give you like my personal perspective?
Hmm.
I think that's what set you and Aaron apart. There's just like the tenacity to say no, like I'm gonna do it. Like no matter what gets in my way, it's gonna happen. And like having that like utmost, but like it, like the belief in yourself. Like people aren't telling you that you're delusional. You're not thinking big enough. Sometimes I have my
Yeah.
closest friends tell me I'm delusional. And I'll say, no, you're limiting yourself. And then so
Yeah.
you're limiting me because I'm hanging around with you. And I don't know if they're just intentionally doing it to challenge me, but I think it's important to have somebody around you to say, hey, get to X amount and we'll do something. Because there was a moment where Tom, Aaron, and I had met in Marbella. We did a weekend out there. And I remember saying, hey, hit X amount. We'll do a YouTube video. We'll also have you guys come out to Milan and we'll get some suits as well. Um, and he did it. He got
Yeah.
it in the end. I got mine as well, so I'll get a fresh
The
suit.
James Bond
Have an
suit.
iron come out in
Yeah.
October. That's when we're going to do our mastermind for Affinity sales training in October from 19th to 20th. AST members do get a bit cheaper as well. So I think Tom, I think you're going to be there in October, so that'll be fun.
Absolutely.
Which also brings up
Absolutely.
the thought process of like Affinity. Like you obviously joined Affinity from the start, and you had joined the paid side pretty much from the beginning. Like, was there any couple of things that Affinity helped you do throughout the journey?
Yeah, dude, I remember the inception of Infinity. The original Telegram group feels like a relic nowadays. Um, no, amazing. Like even like just the growth that Affinity has had, and the people that have come through has just been um tremendous. I honestly see Affinity for me as like a community, kind of like brotherhood. Like if you have a bunch of friends in school that you always used to kind of hang around with, it's like that, but just online, and we're all trying to get better. And like that for me is cool because then you got people who like are doing the same thing in different parts of the world, all guys the same age. And if you're having people who are like kind of G checking you a little bit, you got to be improving. You got to be like getting better. And yeah, there's so many amazing friendships and like networking that has come through Affinity. Um, so how much do you guys for that?
Appreciate it. Appreciate it because like I remember you mentioned when we were at like the charity event as well. It's just like cool to see like the transitions because by the way, when Tom mentions the relic of the Telegram, that was like the old group that we had before we moved to Slack, and then Slack has just grown into this behemoth of people from like Ireland, the UK, some people from the US, Canada, all over Europe as well, and like even some came out to our charity event and they flew from all over, and they
Mhm.
got us some ASC merch, and like this literally means create your own reality because that's what we've kind of preached, and that's why I mentioned I remember saying that to you in Marbella, saying like you need to be the creator of
Yeah,
your reality because nobody else is going to do it for you. And if you're not in that mindset, nothing's going to happen. Nothing changes, nothing changes, right? So if
yeah.
let's say it was somebody new who was like either considering Affinity, considering sales, considering something online, like what would be the couple of things you might say to them? Because you were in the same position, like what, 2 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta know what you want. I think is like such a big thing. In the Marbella mastermind that we went to, Rob Lipsett was asked a similar question, and he was like, you need to find your North Star. You need to find your driver, like whatever it is, you need to know exactly what you want. And then I think a good way of understanding it is like reverse engineer that. So like where you're at now, and like what steps like you want to put in place to get that. But like he wanted to be the biggest fitness influencer in the world, exactly what he wants, and he's on the path to achieve that. And I think it's having a clear want, but yeah, you need to be a little bit delusional too. Like set it as high as you want. I've said to my friends, I have like whiteboards, I print things out, I write everything out, and I just visualize it. Like literally a 5 foot whiteboard behind this laptop. So that's
Gotcha.
the way you got to do it. And like write out your future, create your own reality. Dream as big as you want. Really think that's how it works for me a little bit.
So it's like that Grant Cardone effect, right? It's like whatever you think is possible, 10x it and believe in the 10x because this would become so much easier to attain. Like Rob
Yeah,
Little, as you referenced, like go, what's the North Star, which is 10x above
yeah,
your current goal. What the fuck
yeah.
is Tom Copley doing at that point? What the fuck is Warren Mulvey doing at that point? What are
Mhm.
you doing at your North Star? What are you doing on a daily basis? What does that person wear? How do they hold themselves? How do they communicate? Who do they hang around with? What do they do on the weekends? When do they work? What times do they work? Do they work out every day?
Mhm.
What type of food do they eat? And you have to have it down to a T on like how much that will cost as well. Because whatever the North Star is, like, oh yeah, great, like maybe I'll be there 150K a month. No, like how far are you actually off from that? How far are you away from earning that?
Hmm.
Like if you don't have a plan, how are you meant to get there? If you're not being intentional with your week,
Yeah,
never, ever, ever going to get there. Ever. And that's just a fact. So kind of share the same thought process when it comes to that. So I think that's a nice bit of sauce to leave people off with the YouTube video. Tom, appreciate you taking out the time today. Tom, if you
no
want to
problem.
reference a couple of different your socials where people can find you, maybe they can ask you some questions as well. Feel free to mention them now. And yeah, I appreciate you coming on as well.
Absolutely. I appreciate one. Check my Instagram, Tom underscore Copley underscore. Um, I'm happy to share some closing things and trainings that I've made with some of my team and stuff. But no, Warren, really appreciate it. You know, it's been a heck of a journey, man. Since like start of last year to now, no one's stopping us yet.
Nobody's stopping us. Nobody's stopping us apart from ourselves, apart from your own brain. So,
There you
Tom,
go. If you're
let's
watching
do it.
this,
Let's keep it
don't
pushing. As
let you
I
be
said,
stopping
you're
yourself.
pushing for freedom, but what does freedom look like? So, really appreciate you hopping on, taking the time out of the day, guys. Follow Tom on Instagram, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.